What's going on, guys? It's Blood Phantom 81 here. Today I'm going to be talking about how to become a millionaire through swing trading. Obviously, I'm not a millionaire. I have $82,000 in my Robinhood account. And make no mistake, becoming a millionaire through swing trading or just trading in general is really hard, especially in a short amount of time. Even becoming a millionaire through long term investing is a difficult task. And it's one that a lot of people don't get to, and if they do get to it, it may be only when they're 55 or 60, or let's say around retirement age, where they're putting in money, maxing out a Roth IRA or maxing out a 401k with an employer contribution or something like that. But in terms of becoming a millionaire through swing trading or day trading, how difficult is that task? Obviously, you have to be good at trading, and that requires months, obviously, but most of the time, years or maybe even a decade of experience of trading in order to get to an elite level where you can actually compound your account at a quick rate. So, the point that I'm trying to make is yes, it's fun to talk about hypotheticals, but let me just put it out there. First and foremost, it is hard to become a millionaire through stock trading. However, that should not discourage you guys from trying. And full disclaimer, this is just an educational and entertainment video only. This is not financial advice. I'm not saying go out there and gamble all your money. I'm just saying for me personally, it's not going to discourage me from actually trying to become a millionaire through trading. And I don't think it should discourage anyone else out there as long as you're doing it responsibly and as long as you're using the right tools in the correct way. So, with all that out of the way, let's get into these hypothetical situations. So, what I have here is a spreadsheet. In this hypothetical situation, let's say you can predict the future, okay? And we have a few different situations. Okay, so I have a 3% column. Let's start with that one. So let's say you can predict the future at certain points in time where you know when the market or a particular stock is going to go up 3%, for example. Okay, so when you see that a stock is going to go up 3%, what you do is you buy, and then after that stock goes up 3%, you sell. So let's say you had this gift. Okay, you can predict the future, let's say a certain number of times of year, whatever, right? This is how many trades it would take to actually get to $1 million, starting with $1,000. Okay, so it would take about 234 trades or 235 trades to get to $1 million from $1,000 if you're compounding your account at 3% increments. Now, full disclaimer, what that means is you would be putting all of your account value back into stocks and then increasing it by 3% and then selling, and then you predict the future, whatever, and then right before you buy, you put all your money into the stocks or that stock that's going to move 3%. And then after it moves up 3%, then you sell and you repeat this process. So it would take about 235 times to get to $1 million, starting with $1,000 at a 3% compound rate. So 230 something times, that's obviously a lot. And realistically, you're not going to be able to predict the future at any given point in time. Predicting the future is almost impossible. Should be impossible, right? But anyway, so you won't be able to predict the future, especially in the stock market, with 100% certainty. But with technical analysis, in my opinion, I think there are some setups that are more likely to work in your favor than others. And so, technical analysis and just swing trading strategies like that can provide you with some ways to maybe to be able to tell when a good setup is present and for you to take advantage of that setup. So, that's a separate discussion for another video. I don't want to get into stock trading strategies right now, but I don't think that 100% certainty thing is that far out of reach. I think there are, like I said, I think there are situations where you may have a good idea of what's going to happen. Those are called trade setups. And let's say it works against your favor, then a good trade setup will have a realistic place to get out so that things don't get out of hand. So that's a little glimpse or my view of the world when it comes to trading. But obviously, we're still back in this hypothetical world. So let's go ahead and move over to the 6% column. How many trades would it take to compound your account to $1,000,000 from $1,000 at a 6% rate? So you go from 1,000 to 1,060 to 1124, etc. So it would take you about half the amount of trades to get from 1,000 to $1,000,000. More precisely, maybe around 120 trades to do so. So 120 obviously is a lot, a lot more manageable than 230, but 120 is still a lot of trades to have to get right. And a 6% gain isn't a ton of value, but it's also, it's also not a little bit of value. So you won't be able to get 6%. And let's bring this back to the realistic world. You won't be able to get 6% every day, obviously. You probably won't even be able to get 3% every day. You definitely won't be able to get 6% every day, and you probably won't even be able to get 6% every week. Maybe some weeks you might get a little bit more than 6%, so it might average out in the long run. But I think 6%, the most minimum amount of time that I think is realistic to increase your account by 6% is 2 weeks. And that's 2 weeks with a very well-defined strategy, and that's even including the losses that you might get. So 6% I think is a manageable goal for a trade. And like I said, it should take about 120-ish trades to get to $1,000,000. So 120 isn't actually all that many, right? Cool. So at a 10% rate, that number is 75 trades. So at a 10% rate, you need 75 trades to get from 1,000 to $1,000,000. 75 trades is less than 100. So it's not actually, it doesn't sound like all that much when you put these numbers into perspective. 75 trades, let's say you can increase your account by 10% every month. That's obviously very unrealistic for a lot of people, but let's say you can do that. Then it'll take you about 75 months, which is maybe like 6 years or something like that. And it'll take you, a lot of time to get to an elite level like that. And for those of you that are probably saying, like, why am I even talking about things as if they're realistic? You're probably thinking, Blood Phantom 81, this is not realistic at all. No one can do 10% every single month for 72 months in a row. Like, that's impossible. Honestly, I would agree that is extremely, extremely difficult. But there are some instances of traders which can increase their account by a large amount in a short amount of time. If you want some more inspiration and you want to read more about these kinds of traders, you can read a book called Stock Market Wizards. I will put a link in the description below if you guys want to check out that book. There's a free PDF online, and I definitely read that book on my phone sometimes. So yeah, anyway. But yeah, like I said, 10% per month is actually extremely, extremely difficult. It'll probably be more like 10% every, 3 or 4 or 5 months. And that's including all the losses that you might incur. And that's also assuming, no transactional fees. I just heard that Bernie Sanders wants to have like a tax per trade for the stock market. And, I'm definitely more on the Bernie Sanders side than Donald Trump for obvious reasons. But yeah, I'm not liking that new policy if it were to happen. Like I wouldn't like that at all. I think it would damage the market in terms of liquidity and just a lot more that I probably shouldn't get into in this video. But anyway, back to hypothetical world. So at a 20% rate, okay, if you can increase your account by 20% every trade from $1,000, it would take about 40 trades. Actually, maybe even less. Yeah, let's say 40. So 40 trades at a 20% rate. So 20% increase, okay, I think can only happen at a yearly level, for most people. Like to increase your account by 20% every year, that's pretty difficult. You might have to time the market a few times per year. Obviously, there are going to be some down years and things like that. But to even get like 13%, in the market, I think if you're using something like M1 Finance and you compound, reinvest all your dividends, you buy dividend stocks, maybe some high dividend stocks, and you buy a few growth stocks, I think you can maybe manage out like 12% or something per year. But 20% no way you would get it by just buy and hold. Like you would have to be somewhat of a market timer, somewhat of a swing trader to get there. And before that gets too discouraging, you're probably thinking, okay, if I could get 20% per year, it's going to take a really long time. Now, just consider that this is with starting of $1,000. Um, you don't. Not everyone's going to start with $1,000. Some of you guys might start with like, I don't know, maybe $20,000 something. So from 20,000 all the way to a million, it would take about half that time. So it'd probably take about 20 times. But like I said, if this is not for a long-term investing strategy, this is assuming that 20% can come generally kind of quickly. Obviously that's going to involve maybe some leverage trading and things like that. But yeah, if you're starting out with 20,000, you will need to trade 20 times and increase your account by 20%, 20 times to get to $1 million. So that's in the borderline between not manageable and manageable. Anyway, so at 30%, you would need to have about 30 trades to get from 1,000 to 30 to $1 million. About 30 trades. So now we're starting to get into the borderline impossible, and I will admit that's extremely difficult. Once we get past the 20%, this stuff just starts to not make sense anymore. Obviously that's fine. We're doing this for hypothetical scenarios only, but just out of in case you guys were wondering, 30 trades, that's not all too bad. Just for reference, why don't I show you guys my account? Here we are. So over the past few months, I've increased my account by actually maybe even just 1 month. Yeah, so over the past month, I've increased my account by about 27%. And so obviously that's not going to be every month, but my strategy, in case you guys are wondering, my strategy is to get those 20% gainers, get those 30% gainers as often as I can, because I'm only going to need 30, 35 of them to actually get to $1 million. So I just hit one of them recently, and I don't actually watch baseball all that much, but in terms of just baseball general knowledge, you can hit a single, you can hit a double, you can hit a triple, or you can hit a home run. A single would be just getting on base. I would consider the 20% to be a single. A double would be 30%, and then the triple would be 50%. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at the 50% column? So if you can increase your account by 50% every trade, it would take you 21 trades to get $2 million. So 20 trades actually. So 20 trades, and then lastly, to get to 1 million from 1,000, it'll take you about 15 trades. This one's actually a little bit tricky because it goes from 800,000 all the way to 1.6 million. So there's that weird middle ground, but it'll take you about 15 times to double your money. In the grand scheme of things, doubling your money 15 times, it's easy to kind of feel like that's not all that much. Obviously doubling your money is extremely difficult, but when you think about it, to get to a million from 1,000, double your money 15 times, it puts it into perspective how quickly things can compound, right? But make no mistake, like I said, doubling your money 15 times is obviously really difficult. But anyway, going back to my own situation, like I said, so I just I hit a single or a double pretty much. So increased my account by 27% in the past month. Like I said, that's what I would consider to be a single. But if I can get a few doubles in, like if I can, get like 3 doubles or something, get my account to $200,000, that would put me around here, and then all of a sudden that problem becomes a lot more manageable. So I don't know if I'll ever get a 50% gainer. I think that's pretty difficult, and I'm not expecting to do it honestly. At least like within the next year or two. We'll see where the market's at right now. I think I can definitely increase this 27% amount to maybe like 35% or 40% or something. But I think the market would have to pull down a bit. But yeah, so that's kind of my trading strategy, and I do think I can get to $1 billion. It's actually kind of funny that when I made this channel, and even like last year, I talked about how I'm going to get this account to $100,000, and honestly, I'm like right around the corner, and it doesn't feel like all that much. And I don't know if it's like some kind of weird psychology, but there's a lot of millionaires out there, and I feel like I should be there. And I think that's the mentality that a lot of people could have, is basically like, people feel like they deserve more, and that's why humans progress so much. So I feel like I deserve more money, and so I'm kind of working my way towards there. And obviously, I love every second of it. I love being a trader. But anyway, so I'm probably talked about myself a lot. I don't know how long this video is, but yeah, I just wanted to share some perspective on my long-term goals when it comes to trading and how I think about trading. And yeah, it might be interesting to some of you guys that you might be getting into stock trading, or maybe you're into long-term investing and you're only following this channel for entertainment purposes and things like that, and you want to see my journey or whatever. Wherever you're at, I just wanted to share some perspective on how, one way to see trading. And I don't think that 1 million is so far out of reach. A lot of people talk about becoming millionaires by the time they're like 40 or 50 or 60, and that's great. um, and not to shame anyone who's at a more advanced age. I'm just saying, I think it's possible to get to a large number with a short amount of time, with a little bit of market timing and a little bit of technical analysis and trend following. And you guys watch basically how I come up with my trades and things like that. It's nothing difficult at all. I just put a few lines on the chart and then just watch things. And when some indicators get overbought or oversold, and I trade, or whatever, right? It's simple input output kind of thing. So like I said, I just wanted to share some maybe motivation, or maybe just a different perspective. Anyway, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.